Now, Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda is fighting to keep his mayoral chains. ActionSA has filed a motion of no confidence against him. The party says he must come clean to the city's residents on fraud allegations levelled against him. Gwamanda has publicly dismissed allegations that he used a funeral parlour business to scam people. To discuss this further, we are joined by political analyst Dr Harlan Cloete. He is from the University of the Free State. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Let's talk about Johannesburg broadly, right? We've seen so much of this happening in terms of a new mayor coming in. A few weeks later, there's a motion against them, etc. And meanwhile, services for the people obviously get stuck. Shouldn't there be some type of legislature that talks about when exactly people inside council can bring a motion of no confidence and when they need to stop?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers as well. Yes, I think that is exactly what the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, hosted a conference at the University of the Western Cape, I think about 3 weeks ago, to talk exactly about this, the instability of coalitions. Coalitions is something very new to us in this country. And finding ways to regulate these regulations, to also limit the vote of no confidence in mayors, because like you rightly say, every time that happens, it sends out a very, very, very strong message to the electorate of instability. And like I said previously on this program, it really doesn't bode well for the democratic project, because it upsets people, because people want stability in local government. They want service to be delivered, and they want politicians to use their creativity to come up with innovative ways in how do we solve the complex problems faced by local government. So yes, the dialogue of 3 weeks ago was exactly to iron out some sort of a framework to regulate coalitions in South Africa.
And Dr. Cloete, I mean, we are going into the national government elections. We're already in the season. Soon enough, it'll be 2024, and we're expected to go to the polls. And even over there, we might see a coalition. So if we don't sort out what's happening on a municipal level in terms of legislature and how many times coalitions can file a motion of no confidence against each other, don't we face the same issue on a national level?
Look, I think elements of that. Local government is completely different. It's a different sphere of government to the national. I think what we will see next year would be not necessarily the end of the African National Congress. I think we will find closer coalitions, maybe at the provincial legislators levels. But if we go at what we have seen, observed over the last 2 years in local government, it doesn't bode well. And it really calls for, a maturity amongst politicians. We don't often have to agree with one another, but I think what South Africans demand is for politicians to put their creativity and their purpose together, to try and find a way to solve the complex problems. South Africa faced the problem of unemployment, inequality, and poverty. And time spent of keeping away a vote of no confidence is time spent away from trying to get innovative solutions together with citizens to try and face these complex or to solve these complex problems facing South Africa. So you are right. Every time this vote of no confidence comes, it sends out a wrong message to South Africans.
And I think legislature or legislation has sorted it out for us on a national level, but I don't think they thought about coalitions. And like you're saying, it's something new. It's a new phenomenon for South Africa. But talk to me about Kabelo Gwamanda himself. What about the debate that he is, in fact, a puppet mayor that is being used by political parties such as the ANC and the EFF?
I asked somebody earlier, why is it, somebody who was in the inner circles there, why is it that the ANC or the EFF do not take this position? Because they are the seniors in this relationship. And so that has been the pattern. Unfortunately, the smaller parties are used almost as cannon fodder there. So I think because of the fragile nature of this coalitions, the ANC and the EFF are reluctant to put their best candidates forward to take up these positions, knowing very well that they may not last long, and it is humiliating.
Of course, and a lot of people would say at the moment, actually, the person who's running things is actually the chairperson of the ANC in the Joburg region, that's Dara Morero, because he's got one of the most important portfolios, which is the portfolio for finance. But, you know, when it comes to something like that, is it the right way to analyze it, that actually the person really running things at the moment is the chairperson of the ANC in Joburg because he's got that particular portfolio, a very important one?
I think the mayoral executive system, you are quite right. You know, I think the ANC and the EFF know exactly they are the senior partners in this relationship. And the smaller parties should count themselves lucky that they're part of it. You know, and so, yes, I do think my reading of the situation is that the smaller parties are simply used by the bigger parties to do the work for them. But the nature of these coalitions are so fragile, and they don't want to risk being a mayor for a month or two and then having to relinquish that title again. So, yes, I am convinced that they are simply being used by these bigger parties.
Dr Harlan Cloete, he is a political analyst from the University of the Free State. Thank you very much for your time, sir.